Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bogey Proof. Got a little something special. Matt and Mike are checking in for a little preview of the 149th Open Championship being played at Royal St. George's. So hopefully we're going to do a couple episodes this week, and this is going to be the first of two, and really focus kind of on just what the Open Championship is, what it means to us, and really kind of stay away from those storylines, and we'll get to those in a later podcast and kind of throughout our Instagram posts and social media throughout this week. But Matt, where are you coming from on the Sunday evening as we record? Kind of an odd time to be recording. We never do Sunday, so this is fun.
I know it's a little different. I'm still in Connecticut. Just got back from Newport actually this weekend down there. Enjoying some time off and trying to rest, recover, enjoy the summer as best we can before big major this week. Not gonna be getting too much sleep. We're gonna be getting up early to watch some golf, and so I snuck away with the girlfriend down in Newport and had a nice weekend of enjoying some views, going to nice dinners, et cetera, et cetera. So still in Connecticut. Sunday night though, like you said, so we're drinking water tonight. We're not, no cocktails yet. We'll get to those later in the week with the Guinnesses and whatever else we decide to partake in while we are watching the Open Championship. But how about you? Where are you calling in from?
Yeah, little something different here this week. I'm on the water train as well with you. For people that watch this on YouTube, one of the biggest bottles of water I've ever seen in my life. 48 ounces, bigger than my head. Nice pH balanced water. The pH balanced water is important, so mix that in if you don't usually do that. But come to you guys from the finest Courtyard Marriott that the Dayton, Ohio, Miami Valley region has to offer. Kind of a sketchy little spot, but Courtyard Marriott's, I'm comfy in these. When I travel quite a bit for work, I liked the Courtyard Marriott because I didn't feel bad about throwing on a t-shirt and a pair of shorts and just like lounging around the hotel. Didn't feel like I needed to like have my polo on or a button down. I kind of can just throw the stuff down, and definitely a comfy spot. So I'm enjoying this. Playing a U.S. Amateur qualifier down here at a Moraine Country Club. Spectacular course. Got out there for a practice round today. We were chatting a little bit about it before, but easily a top 10 golf course that I've ever played. Just unbelievable variety of holes, difficult track, but super fair. Definitely could go out there and shoot 3 or 4 under, but also shoot 78 in a heartbeat. So just excited to play, tournament golf this year. Have gotten out there a few times and have been a mixed bag with a bad round, an okay round, and a pretty solid round for kind of the 3 rounds that I've played. So, 36 holes here tomorrow in Dayton, and excited to kind of see where my game is and push that forward for the rest of the summer. I know we got the Raimondi, the finest, and honestly, outside of the Bond Tempo in the Springfield area, it's probably the best field you're going to get all summer. So just making sure my game is buttoned up for when I get back to Western Mass to see you on the golf course.
Got to get ready for the first major of the year, Mike. Come on. First major of Western Mass for the year. So, yeah, looking forward to that.
Defending champions last time we played in this, it was a full-on beatdown of the field. So, expecting to bring those vibes back.
We took a year off. We gave the field a chance to recover, but now we're back. We're back with a vengeance, trying to, run it back and get another W under our belts. So
I'm so excited to play veterans. I haven't played that plate. I don't think I've played it since last time we played in the Raimondi. So
there you go. Nothing's changed. They played it. I mean, they did redo the bunkers. Shout out to City of Springfield, put some money back into the courses this year. They redid the bunkers at both Franconia and Vets, but other than that, nothing too much has changed. You'll be just fine. I think you've played enough rounds there in the past. You might remember a thing or two about the place. So
yeah, I'm sure I'll be good with the sight lines off the tee. But,
yeah.
But before that, and I mean during that as well, we got a 7 a.m. tee time on Saturday, but I'll probably be up at 5 o'clock watching a little golf before we play. So I know you mentioned that a little bit before a few minutes ago, but the Open Championship is unique in itself. That being here in America, and with the time zones and the time change, we get some morning golf, we get some breakfast golf. You know, we were loving that Hawaii golf as kind of being the prime time
Mm-hmm.
earlier in the year, but this is a different animal, and it's almost more fun. You know, kind of waking up in the morning, knowing that you have some golf to watch, and those Saturdays and Sundays, especially, um, you know, when you have a little time to kind of just sit down, have your coffee, sit on the couch, like it's nice to watch European Tour golf sometimes on a random Saturday or Sunday morning, but the Open Championship is a different animal. You got Mike Tirico out there doing the coverage. Like it just sounds different. It's the golf courses are better. So really excited for Royal St. George's. But give me a little insight on kind of your feelings about the Open Championship. Obviously, we haven't had one in, you know, it'll be almost 2 years to the date since we've had an Open Championship. So I think we're both really excited about that. But give me some, you know, maybe a quick memory or two about watching the Open Championship and what you're excited about this week.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the biggest thing for me is like I'm so excited because we missed one last year, right? So 2 years without an Open is just baffling. You know, Shane Lowry's still defending champion, right? Is must be pretty awesome for him, the Irishman, to hold that title for an extra year. Like that just, you know, that just makes his win that much sweeter that he gets to kind of hold that trophy or that title for that extra year. That's pretty special for him, I'm sure, being an Irishman. So I'm just, you know, for me, the Open Championship, like you said, there's nothing quite like getting up at, you know, 4:35, whatever time, you know, whenever you're able to get yourself actually out of bed. But getting up super early, I think the only other time you do it is maybe for a Ryder Cup, right? But it's just there's nothing like getting up and watching golf at 5 in the morning. It's just like it as a golf junkie, it just weeds it out, and it's just you feel like you're just you and your golf junkies are just throughout the world united watching it, whether that's via Twitter, you know, and whatever it may be that you're chatting about it, posting about whatever. It's just like it's just golf. There's nothing else going on that early in the morning, you know, like you kickstart your, you know, if it's a Thursday, Friday, you kickstart your work day, maybe like I've been known to get the laptop going at like 6, maybe like I'll watch a nice hour or so of golf without, you know, just having my coffee, but get that laptop going early, get off a little early that day, you know, something like that. It's a nice way to, you know, look a little extra productive during the week. If you're, you know, kind of half watching golf all day anyways, it's a good way to kind of cover your bases there. But you know, for me, some of my favorite memories come like I remember, I don't know if it was actually Carnoustie. So 2018, I was down the Cape on vacation, and my dad and a couple other guys that we were on vacation with, we got up early and we're watching the golf Thursday, Friday. We didn't quite get up at 4, but you know, 6 o'clock, which is for vacation, that's ridiculously early, you know, and we're up early, you know, having coffee, having a Guinness, whatever it may be. Like there's nothing better than that early morning golf. And then when it's done at, you know, 11, noon, 2, whatever it may be, you know, it depends on who you really care about watching or whatever. Coverage probably ends at like 3. You still have your whole day to go, you know, do whatever. I mean, for us, we're kind of playing golf alongside when the majority of the golf be going on. But I'm sure a lot of guys playing in the tournament we're playing in, if they tee off at noon, they're probably still going to get up and watch all the golf, and then they get to go play. So you get to, you know, get the juices flowing, watch a major championship golf, and then go out there yourself and kind of get after it. But yeah, I'm super excited. Like you said, there's nothing quite like an Open Championship. I think, you know, calling back to one of our much earlier podcasts, I think we talked about like what we're looking forward to most this year. And I think I called out like the Open Championship. I know a lot of guys were like talking about the Florida swing and getting back to the players and stuff like that we lost because of COVID in the previous year. But I was like, I want an Open again. There's nothing like there's just something about it. It's obviously a major. It's a different style of golf too, I think, which is, you know, something that's, you know, PGA Tour, as great as it is, we see a lot of very similar layouts where it's like the same style golf, or at least maybe just visually it is more than it might play, right? Like it just looks the same, right? You're seeing the same swings, the same shots, the same style of golf being played or style of golf being rewarded. Where you go to an Open Championship, it's like a total crapshoot, right? I mean, we have Darren Clark winning when he's 40 whatever years old. We have, you know, Phil Mickelson winning when he was older, and then also like going like toe to toe with Henrik Stenson in 2016, whatever that was, right? Kind of some older guys, and Tom Watson had a chance at one when he was 60 or whatever. You know, like it just brings a different breed of golf, and it really makes it kind of it's not the same golf that provide like it's not the same golf that guarantees success on the PGA Tour. Doesn't always work over in the Open, so it kind of it gets different players involved, gets different names at the top of the leaderboard, and they're just the kind of history around it, the aura around it, the open trailers, they're not trailers, but like the preview little segments that they do before they show you coverage with the Irish accents and all that stuff talking about it. Like it just feels different. It's always a major and those always feel different, but something about it being over there, the time difference, everything going on around it, they're just nothing quite like an open championship. They're super fun, super entertaining, totally different style, different brand. And I look forward to them every year. So I'm extra jacked up this year having a year off.
Yeah, for sure. When I think of the Open Championship, I think the same thing. I think there's every single person that tees it up at the Open Championship probably has a chance as long as they buy in. Obviously, there's tons of elements and weather and different golf courses and quirky golf courses. If you buy in, you have a chance to win the Open because usually it plays firm and fast, so distance really is negated. Right, we saw Tiger win an Open Championship hitting like 5 drivers all week.
Yeah.
Right, and I mean, I think that week, I'm thinking back, probably the most iconic shot. I don't even know what year that was, but it's just ingrained in my mind is him just hitting like a stinger 5-iron from the green, club twirl, and just jarring it. Like I don't know what year that was, but like I could just picture that.
It was definitely the year he won. It was the one you're talking about. I think it was like 06.
Yeah, and he had a fucking.
It wasn't Andrews, but
he had like a mock turtleneck on, and he was just. No one else had a shot that week.
Yeah.
But like, so I think you get opportunity. Like, it could be crazy green out there, like it was at Royal Portrush when we played last time, and it could be completely burnt. I didn't watch much golf at all this week, and really haven't followed along too much. So excited, kind of once I play tomorrow. Tuesday and Wednesday to watch a lot of Golf Channel and kind of see what the golf course looks like. I remember a little bit from Darren Clark's win here, and I think we were chatting a little bit about it before. It's unique because it's England and it's not, Scotland or Northern Ireland like they played the last one. So it's definitely a different terrain, and the lay of the land is going to provide a unique test in itself. But I think what gets me for the Open Championship is just, and we use this word a lot, but volatility. Like I just think there is so much volatility when it comes to the Open Championship, whether it's the rain coming down. There was no rain in the forecast. Next thing you know, it's coming down sideways, or right, it's blowing 50 out there. So that 500-yard hole is now a 2-iron and an 8-iron, and that 400-yard hole is now driver 5-wood, right? Because it's blowing into, or like you just don't get that on the PGA Tour for the most part, right? We travel the country in a pattern that allows for perfect weather.
Yeah.
So it's just the volatility and the elements and everything that is the Open Championship makes it so much fun from a viewer standpoint. I'm sure it is probably the longest week of the year when it comes to preparing for a tournament, just because you need to know how the course plays and all the different winds, and God forbid, we get a wind that we haven't seen a practice round. More so than anything, this is a week where caddies are super important. Local knowledge is super important. There's just so many variables that go into playing an Open Championship venue. And then you add in the volatility that is kind of the UK and the weather that comes with there. I'm just excited to watch. I'm sure the fans are going to be buzzing over there. I don't know as far as from COVID restrictions if we have less fans or whatever, but I know if they're allowed, we're going to have a ton of fans out there. They're going to be loving it. I know anybody with cash that loves the game of golf from the U.S. that has the ability. I know there's a lot of U.S. citizens that are finding their way over to the Open Championship if it worked out and their pockets are deep enough. Definitely on my bucket list for something I want to do in the future is get over there for an Open Championship. So
that'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, that'd just be an awesome week and golf in its purest form, and to watch the best players in the world do that, is definitely something that I'm looking forward to doing at some point, later in life. But Yeah, it's super excited. I think it's going to be an absolute blast. Kind of maybe speak on, I know I just brought it up as far as like the overall volatility, but I think something we were chatting about a little bit before too is like the draw this week probably means more than any other week. Um, when we travel with the good weather on the PGA Tour, playing in the afternoon versus playing in the morning, maybe the wind picks up in the afternoon, but realistically, most times things are about the same. Um, but that's not going to be the case this week. So maybe kind of give some insight into that for the viewers that maybe don't know quite as much about kind of how a tournament is operated and how tee times work.
Yeah, so and it kind of goes hand in hand with the volatility of the weather itself and everything else you kind of touched on. So the way they do tea times is, if you go out early on Thursday, you're in the afternoon wave on Friday, and vice versa. If you're in the afternoon Thursday, you kind of go back to back. You go late early and you're out early on Friday morning. So given that, and like you said, I think there's just something about the Open Championship and like the weather over in the UK, Ireland, wherever it may be, and the way the golf courses are put together out there and like the way they kind of respond to weather, it's so drastic. And like if it rains in the morning and it's super soft but not windy, like that's actually better than playing in dry conditions and the wind picking up at a link style golf course, right? So to your point, like you said, like over in the States, if it rains, like it's soft the whole day. It doesn't matter if it starts or stops or whatever. It's like it's soft and everybody plays the same thing. Over there, because there's no trees, there's no kind of protection from the elements for that golf course, it's just so much more sensitive to wind and rain and whatever else, and it also changes so fast because there's always so much wind and it's on the coastlines of somewhere, right, depending on which part of the UK they're playing in, where it's just the draw is so important, where you get that, say you're the late early, right? So you Friday, Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, it pours all morning Thursday, no wind, then it kicks off after that storm kind of rolls through and it's super windy the next day. Like you're getting the hardest condition on Thursday by a lot. And then that next day, if it just keeps the wind going, like you had to play one extra hard round than the guy before you. And I think that's, again, to your point, that's part of why we love the Open Championship, right? There's just that extra, variable that these guys have to deal with. And, if you're going to win here, you have to just have like you said, you have to buy in, right? You just have to be okay with that. You can't, cross your fingers and hope you get the right draw, because then you're focusing on all the wrong things and you got no chance. You get one bad lick of weather and you're gonna be like, oh my God, the draw, like like whatever. So you can't have that mindset, but it absolutely plays a factor. And you'll see, from the morning to the afternoon, and I'm sure they'll show it during coverage if the weather is a factor. They'll show like the average score from morning wave to afternoon wave, and you can see sometimes as big as 2-3 shots of difference in the same day on the same golf course, which is crazy because I mean, there's always, depending on how they rank, some of the top tier players in the world on what part of the wave they fall on. But at the end of the day, they're all professional golfers. There shouldn't be that big of a gap. So that is definitely a factor, and something to look out for as, when you're looking at this tournament, previewing it, thinking about who you like to win, whatever. And like Mikey said, we'll get into that in our second podcast this week of our picks, but that is definitely something you need to consider of, all right, what wave are they in? What's the weather look like over there? What are they talking about, on Golf Channel Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for kind of weather, wind predictions, all that stuff. It's the Open Championship provides that element more than any other golf tournament does. I think we had a chance to get some of it at Kiawah because it's literally on the ocean, right? So it has a little bit more of that style, but the weather's just not as volatile here in the States and especially in South Carolina compared to what it's like over in UK, Ireland, et cetera. So that is definitely a unique thing to the Open Championship that is super, super fun to kind of just watch how the guys deal with it, right? They're the best golfers in the world, but it's just such a mental hurdle that they're not used to seeing day to day or week to week, I should say, on the PGA Tour. So it's definitely a new element that it makes it fun, right? It's just another thing that's what makes it the Open Championship, is that kind of stuff. It's what makes you want to watch. It's what makes it a major. It's all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and you brought up a unique part about when you are making your picks for the week. Um, one of our gambling guys, I know TJ's got his ear to the floor, and he is
The weather,
hearing all the rumblings out there, and he knows when those tee times come out. I know he's going to have some analysis going on of like, hey, here's the weather. I mean, he talks about the weather at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. So, he's going to have the full recap, the wind directions. He's going to map out the course. So, for our listeners out there that want a little extra insight, I'm sure we'll be doing some sort of, gambling podcast this week or whatever the case may be. So, please be on the lookout for that. I definitely think there's some money to be made just in that area. As far as who to miss the cut or things like that, probably have a couple gimmies out there.
Yeah, and if you're on the fence about a guy and his form or how he fits the golf course itself, if you're on the fence about him and he gets the better wave, then okay, maybe you take a chance on him. If he's on the worst wave, okay, you write him off. Stuff like that. If we're talking gambling, like all it takes is to get one of those guys right or wrong and can really, make or break your day in a daily fantasy lineup. So definitely keep an eye on that YouTube channel and keep an eye out for our course preview, kind of weather preview episode that we're going to do with the gambling guys. And then also we'll do a picks thing with them too. But another thing I wanted to get into for this Open is the golf course, right? We kind of touched on it. It seems like based on, again, I'm just looking off what you can see online and stuff like that. We haven't seen the full breakdown on Golf Channel yet or the live from the Open segment, which we'll all be watching this week. But it just seems like it's a little bit more. We got like a little bit of undulation, which you don't see a lot, right? Like there's a little or an elevation too from the overall golf course, right? You get a lot more of that than you're kind of used to seeing. Like I'm just going back to a course like St. Andrews, which is kind of like the staple or what everybody thinks about when you think of links golf. It's just a big flat fairway with pot bunkers littered throughout, but like it's all fairway. There's really no rough on the golf course, right? So it's just about missing bunkers, and then the greens are massive, flat. They got some, they fall off here and there, but like they're just huge, big greens where it seems like we're going to this one's more of a style of we got long fescue, heather grass, whatever you want to call it, right? It's just all over this golf course. It looks really pretty. It just, it looks really intimidating, but that's going to definitely play a factor with, especially you get the wind going, right? That's what an Open Championship is having taken all that extra elements that isn't at a normal PGA Tour event, having to deal with them. But like you get extra grass like that, you got elevation changes, which all wind does is make those things harder to work with, right? It just expedites what's already there. And it seems just like a golf course it's obviously a linksy style course. It's on the coast. It's got that firmness to it, whatever it may be. And there's the pot bunkers are out there. It just seems like it's a little bit different than a traditional one. I don't know. I could be off in saying this, but this is just kind of what I'm gathering from looking at online. There's a lot more shape to it. The elevation changes. You got these mounds, you got hills everywhere, and it's all this like long fescue. It looks super cool looking, but it definitely is a little different than I think the traditional, like, again, I'm comparing it to St. Andrews, but even a place like Carnoustie, right? It just seems like there's a little bit more like land to this one of just like elevation and mounds and, shaping the holes and stuff like that compared to what we're used to seeing at a links place. So another thing to consider this week.
Yeah, I think, and I think you hit it on the head as far as I think there's a little more going on outside of the golf course, which I think, is very intimidating to maybe an amateur golfer, seeing all this high grass. But, maybe for the best players in the world, it probably frames some holes a little bit more. I think the difficulty of playing a place like St. Andrews is, that fairway is 170 yards wide. So you have so many options as far as where you want to hit that tee ball and, the angle that you want to come in at. Where Royal St. George this week, realistically, and we'll hear more at live at the Open and stuff like that. But realistically, players are probably going to be playing into the same spots, all week long, depending on the wind, right? And taking a bunker out of play or taking kind of, some sort of element out of play. I know there's some berms and stuff like that too. Another word for a man-made creek.
Yeah.
For our listeners out there that don't know links golf, they dug a bunch of holes, out there for drainage. So that's a very common hazard over there. So kind of those trenches that then they've grown high grass in or whatever. a lot too, I think, and we probably touched on a little bit too, because of the way it's kind of set up. It seems like the fescue is pretty strong, as
Mhm.
opposed to, like, sometimes we get that wispy,
Yeah.
stuff that's kind of like you can get in there and you can find it and you can hack it out, and sometimes you can even get a full club on it and chase it onto a green.
Mhm.
Um, Seems like there's a little more, there's a little something more to it that you're kind of just
Hoping you can find
chopping
it.
out.
Yeah. Hope you can find it and chop out. I mean, yeah, the Open's just so special, and the variability in the leaderboard itself. I mean, if you look back to when Lowry run, like the top 5 or 6 that I remember, it's like Shane Lowry, Tommy Fleetwood, Brooks Koepka, and like JB Holmes. Like, what is that? It's like a four. So it's like it. That's just the kind of like it's not like a U.S. Open, right? Where the bombers rise to the top, whatever it may be. It's just it provides you a little. There's just always a chance for some kind of guy. Like, I think Kiz was in the mix too, like a shorter hitter. There's just always a lot of volatility with not only the way the course plays, the tournament plays, the weather is, the wind is, all that stuff. You just also take that and you just add the way all those things work out. They spit out really fun and like interesting leaderboards that aren't just like the same 5 to 10 guys you see on the PGA Tour every week at the top of the leaderboard, just doing the same thing in a major and just seeing who can go get it. It just brings in a lot of different players. And I think, outside of that, I think the only other thing I wanted to mention on this episode is just the fact that more often than any other major, we have like 6 or 7 guys in the top 50 just not going. We had a couple today pop for COVID reasons. I think Matsuyama and Bubba tested or were in direct contact. I don't think they tested positive, but were in direct contact with somebody who did. And due to the travel restrictions of getting over there and having to charter flights and all this stuff that, the PGA Tour, the European Tour, the RNA, they work together to set up, they can't risk exposing a whole charter to somebody who's been in direct contact and potentially, having a whole plane that's basically full of COVID guys go over there, play practice rounds with a bunch of teams, and then all of a sudden we get an Open championship, right? So unfortunate to see a couple guys like Hideki and Bubba not be able to go due to that. But you also, which I think is a really cool story, or cool might be the wrong word, but really interesting stories. You have guys like Siwoo Kim and Sung Jae Im not playing to focus on the Olympics because in Korea, there's is it 2 or 3 years of mandatory service in the military, and they have not done theirs yet. And I think you have to do it by like 30 or 35, and then they quote unquote draft you, or you have to do it by a certain amount of years. You can do it kind of whenever you want. But these two guys obviously chose professional golf in their early 20s and have been doing so for the last few years, doing it well. But they're not exempt from their military service. So unless they win a medal or like the Masters, that's the only way they get exempt from their service. So they're choosing to go try and win an Olympic medal in order to get out of their military service. I mean, I think we've talked about in the past, but a guy like Sang Moon Bae, 10 years ago now probably, was a top 30 player in the world, chasing down majors, bunch of top 5, top 10s, got pulled for military service for 3 years or whatever it was, came back, and now he's like fighting on the Corn Ferry Tour to kind of get back to tour status. So it is a weird element that's out there in professional golf, and I think it's very unique to professional golf. But I think it's just interesting to see 2 top 50 players in the world. Siwoo Kim won this year, Sung Jae's won last year, and has been, a super super solid player for his 2.5 years or whatever it's been on tour. Kind of opt out of a major championship to go chase a Olympic medal. I mean, I know the Olympics are special in their own right, but you don't usually see guys skipping out on majors due to how much they drive the conversation in golf and golf legacy and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I guess my follow up to that is, has Joey heard that?
I don't know. We might have to see. We might have to like let him see if he takes him as a pick and then correct, like see if he falls for the trap or see if he is doing research on his guy or if he just blindly picks his guy every week. Might have to just check his research on that.
And if he doesn't pick him for some reason, we'll have to like feed that in and just be like, hey, how you feeling about this guy this week, or whatever. So
How you feeling about him, and see if he, see if he's listening to our product when he's not on it.
yeah, so I agree. I think that's super interesting story, and you know I would say Sang Moon Bae was probably, one tier below the caliber of player that Sung Jae Im and Siwoo Kim are. So even more so, right? If they end up having to do their military service and don't win a medal or don't win the Masters, we've lost two top 40 players in the world, and um, just kind of following that story of them being away from the game for a period of time and seeing if they can make it back. Um, I just can't imagine Sung J M doing anything besides
Golf,
collecting top tens on the PGA Tour. Like,
crazy.
so I think interesting story and something that will, um, I would love for them to win a medal. Obviously, hoping that the U.S. goes out there and sweeps. But like realistically, I think that would be a really cool story if one of them got it done. Probably both aren't going to win medals, so the
Yeah,
other one could be shit out of luck. So
it's also one of those things where like it's probably going to be the biggest reason for me to watch. Like a story like that will get me to watch the Olympics, right? Because like I don't remember the exact timing of the Olympics, at least for the golf aspect of it. So it's like I don't know if I'd be tuning in unless it's an off, like a quiet week on the PGA Tour. I'd probably watch a little bit of it, but like I'm gonna pay attention to that now, strictly for these two guys and pull for them. I mean, like you said, hope the U.S. wins, gold, so whatever they can do, but I would not hate to lose to these two. And I think even on, I'm sure it wasn't all that serious, but in a lighthearted manner, I think John Rahm was talking about the Olympics and whatnot. He was like, yeah, I mean, if Sungjae, if Sungjae wants to talk and I'm in third and he's in fourth, we can arrange something to make sure my guy gets his medal and can stay out here on the PGA Tour. Like again, super lighthearted. I'm sure there's nothing serious to that, but it is an interesting story, and I think a lot of guys on the PGA Tour, as much as they're competitors, if they're in that Olympics with those guys, would love to see one, if not both of those guys, get their medal and be able to continue, their careers as PGA Tour professional golfers, rack up wins, be a part, they're part of what makes the game great, right? They have that international influence that helps grow the game. And it'd be a shame to kind of lose two young talents like that, and some similar to Sang Moon Bae, and have them go have to do their, require military service and then come back and just kind of be stuck and not being able to get back on the tour or whatever it may be. So would love to see those two, pull out their cards. So hopefully they make this major championship skip worth it. Long story short.
yeah, no, it should be a fun one, and looking forward to this week. Just want to quickly shout out Jim Furyk getting it done at the U.S. Senior Open. Kind of seems criminal that he gets to play the Champions Tour. The guy's still a stud. The Champions Tour just blows my mind continually, because we have people out there that Jerry Kelly, Steve Stricker, Jim Furyk, those guys could make cuts on the PGA Tour tomorrow, and they still do, and they come out to play. Our guy Mike Weir, T2, a lot of Mike Weir slander, but the guy's figured it out a little bit. So, I'm happy to see him doing well. I think the better he plays, the more of a dynamic the President's Cup is too, just because from a competitive aspect, right? I don't know who's the president. I don't even know who the President's Cup captain on the U.S. side is. Steve Stricker's the Ryder Cup captain this year, but I don't know who the.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just when the captains are playing well on that level, it just adds to kind of the overall element. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun this week. Excited to be back in Western Mass and play a little golf with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just it'll just be a fun week. I'm excited to get up at 5 a.m. How often do I say that, right?
Exactly.
So get up at 5 a.m. to watch a little golf.
A lot of coffee, a lot of golf. So that's a recipe for a good week in my book.
Now that I think about it too, what I was drinking down in Pinehurst for loyal listeners who have been along for the ride here, the Guinness Nitro Cold Brew, like that one, that is so in play this week. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's almost automatic Friday at, we'll call it noon, but whenever.
Yeah, but it's like 11:30.
Yeah. Whenever you get to the golf course, or are getting ready to get to the golf course that Friday afternoon and get a little last second practice round or practice session in.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better cocktail to have while you're fine tuning before the Ramondi.
Yeah, that's like I don't think there's much caffeine in that because I think there's legitimately like a little bit of coffee in there just for the flavoring.
Right.
But like just mentally you think there's like a shit ton of coffee in there. The next thing you know, you don't sleep. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, so that's definitely like a midday thing.
You don't have six. Don't have six of those. You'll be up. You'll be up all night. Just one.
I mean, 6 Guinnesses, my stomach would be upside down.
Yeah.
So yeah, fun. It's gonna be a fun week of golf, and I think we have a lot of fun things coming. I think it was fun too. This morning, obviously, we were chatting with a friend of the program, Andrew Mulvey, who's been out here, and I think we got some fun things kind of hopefully setting up. I want to do something with the working man's golfer. So shout out to Max too, if you're
Yeah.
listening to this. Let's
Collaboration.
let's do a collab. Let's get some videos out there. Let's do some lessons. Really like your stuff, and definitely want to do some of that here in the near future. But Mr. Fontaine, I will talk to you in a couple of days, and I will see your bright and smiling face in less than a week.
Alrighty, man. Play well tomorrow.
Yep. Take it easy.